Hey y'all, it is Social Saturdays, and I'm gonna get right into it because we have a lot of questions this week. So earlier this week, the way this topic came about, earlier this week I had my first official launch for 2020 for the Chloe Branding Company with the Hue Spot. Congratulations to them. They launched their new website, as well as we did new product shots, new regular photos. We did full creative direction and styling by me. We did, as well as the web design. We did actually a product launch as well. She launched her new ponytail, and it's been great. So I really want to talk to you guys about launching. So, like I said, it's a good bit of questions, so I'm going to get right to it. First question, how early should you start introducing a new product to your audience? I don't know a specific time frame, but I will say don't wait too long, because once you mention something for the first time, people get excited. Okay, so if people are getting excited, you've already had people asking you about whatever it is. You want to go ahead and get that out there while it's still on their mind, because little by little, either somebody else is going to do it or they're just going to lose interest. Okay, so for that reason, if you wait too long, then that kind of dwindles. Now think about it. So today also is the Ivy Park and Adidas launch. So this is also great timing to talk about it. If you really think about it, Beyoncé didn't show us the first picture of the collection till about a month ago. That's when she did like a picture of the grill, a picture of the shoe and the ankle bracelet, a couple other pictures like the braids with the beads on the back. It was just one of those things where we're like, oh, we cannot wait. She didn't put no date with it or anything. She literally just showed the pictures. We all went crazy because it's Beyonce, of course, too. But you know, within the month, now they have a plan. So one thing about launching too, make sure you have a plan before you start marketing. Because if you just start telling people about something, whether it's a product, service, event, whatever, when you just start telling people and then have no plan to follow through yet, no plan to follow up yet, no, you don't have the resources all the way in place, I'm telling you, it's going to dwindle. So I wouldn't say wait too long. So as far as actually introducing, I would say come up with your plan, full strategy first, so you know how to even roll it out. And then maybe within a month, that's when you'll start talking about it of the launch. Maybe a month or two, depending on what it is. That can also vary based on the product or service. What key business pros should every business have in place? Accountant, lawyer, bookkeeper. That depends on what stage you're in. Most of us start off with none of those things. So you just have to do a lot of research, figure out what you're doing before you're even hiring them, because starting off just hiring people, unless you're starting at a certain level in business or with a certain amount of capital, it's not always the smartest. So now I will say, yes, those those professionals are recommended: the accountant, the lawyer, and the bookkeeper. Maybe an assistant, depending on what you're doing. However, get to the point where you actually need that first, because if you only have like one sale right now, or you only have one sale a week, do you really need a bookkeeper right now? You know what I'm saying? But once you get to that point, yes. Now, lawyer, I would say start that as early in the process as you can, especially if you're a service business owner. That way you have certain things in place, certain projects in place, things of that nature. So there's that. But bookkeepers, accountants, and things of that nature, just really start off very organized when it comes to your finances. And then maybe work your way into those things. What are some things that should always be done before launching? Strategize. That's where I see a lot of people lack when it comes to launching. They don't fully understand the strategy, like what has to keep going. Like, not only when you launch a specific product in addition to your business, you should have a strategy with your business. Like, a lot of the things that the larger scale companies already are doing, like say for example Amazon's doing something, they probably planned it 5 years ago, and there was a strategy to get to that point to see what the need is before they introduce it officially. Okay, now some stuff is on a whim. I'm sure even the Ivy Park and Adidas collab has been in the works for a really long time before we saw anything about it. But that's definitely something you have to do. You need to strategize how you want to continue to release things, because a lot of times we start getting so many ideas and then we stop the whole process unknowingly because you're trying to do all those things at one time. Save some items, save some ideas for releasing in addition to your official launch later down the road. So that's definitely something I think should always be done. Strategizing, planning, understanding the brand, doing research on your market, seeing what the benchmark is for that market, and things of that nature. What are some tips for knowing what your brand theme is? Serious or playful? Pretty much you just need to know who your audience is for the most part. You need to know who you're marketing to, because knowing that you have a serious or a playful brand, and I would have to know about your brand, knowing that you need that. Like if you're marketing to kids, a serious kids brand doesn't really make sense. So that's why I tell people all the time, you need to know your brand message. Like everything depends on your brand message, because branding is the experience. Branding is not the colors. It's a part of, yes, it's a component. But branding is not just the colors. Branding is not just the logo. None of that. Like you need to fully understand what your message is, who you're talking to, the purpose, why you're doing it. And if your purpose is something like, say, and this is like really serious, but domestic violence, that's not a playful brand. You see what I'm saying? So it's not really that hard. I always have this one brain. It's not really that hard, in my opinion, and from a brand expert perspective, to figure out what your brand is. That should not be one of the hardest things that you're trying to figure out, if it's playful or not. It'll feed off the colors as well, textures. It's about how you make it, really. What are some options for finding new clients? Ads, sponsorships on podcasts, blogs, etc. All of those things. But again, it depends on your brand, because it's going to depend on where your clients are. If you're specifically looking for parents of people 2 and under, they're probably not listening to and doing all the same things as a person who's single with no kids, who has a lot of time on their hands. So all of those places can be great places to find new clients, especially make sure your web SEO is together. That's why that's so important. Like most of the time, people find things from Google. So that's why your SEO needs to be optimized. So that way when people are looking for stuff, you're better in a position to be found by somebody. But yes, as social media, sponsorships, podcasts, blogs, vlogs, different types of media in your community maybe, but that depends on your audience as well. So like I said, you don't want to be marketing somewhere that those people aren't. Like if you're putting, say for example, you put an ad on the back of a bathroom stall at a bar, like even though most of us probably drink socially, everybody has to go to the bathroom at some point, even the type of bar matters. Like it might be like a pub or something like that where the crowd's a little different. So just because you got a cheap ad space, it might not be effective. So again, depends on the people. Is a website necessary for a launch? I would say yes, because even if you go to the Ivy Park website and it's telling you to go to the Adidas website, there's something there, because Ivy Park is still half of the brand that they're launching. And on top of that, no matter what you're launching, where are you going to send them to if there's no website? You can't really launch something and then say sign up for the list. That's still building the anticipation of a launch. If you're launching something, everything needs to be in place on a website. Like I don't know why people are still trying to avoid having a website if they have a business. It's one of those things where I just cannot grasp. Some people have websites and they're still like, oh, cash at me or DM to purchase. Why? Because you don't want to pay certain fees. Like as a business owner, I tell people all the time, you have to stop trying to cut corners, because most of it you can't and shouldn't. Okay. Especially if you want to be a credible business, you have to spend some money to make some money. That's how it works. How do you plan a launch? But by the quarter, by the year, or other? That's up to you. That's up to your product. If you say I have this idea and I want to launch it in the next 4 months, then you make a 4-month plan. If you say I want to launch it in third quarter, then you plan these 2 quarters that we're in right now, and then the second quarter coming, and then you do that. If you're saying that you want to launch it this time next year, how do you build up the anticipation for a whole year of a launch? So there's not really one time frame to launch something. I have clients where we'll spend months on a project. For the Hue Spot, for example, we started on that project in June. or July. And it was based on a lot of things. We had to figure out what her financial standpoint was, what was actually feasible, what was she looking to do. There's a lot that goes into that. So you can't just say the time frame that I'm going to launch is blank, because it might not be. It has to work for you. Where do you go to build a business strategy? Usually a business coach. There's usually business strategists. That's the actual like job title that do those type of things, that come up with like growth plans and things of that nature. You can also talk to your accountant and talk about it and say, okay, what do I need to do to, net or gross X amount of dollars per year? So you're probably going to actually have to talk to a few people for a business strategy to make sense. How do you know what social media platform would work best for your business? I always tell people to use as many of them as possible. However, you should be able to use at least 2, I would think. And again, that's based on your audience. If your audience is older and people who actually read information, I'm not necessarily talking about older like senior citizens, but just more mature, we'll say, they might be on Facebook. Like most people I know are on Facebook that are more of mature, that have like degrees and things. They're on there because it's more information. That's a whole page for them to click. There on a Facebook business page, you can go look at the reviews, the services, the location, everything. Instagram is just kind of like more easy access, real quick, in a lot of different places. So it's more for you. Or a youthful audience and a business. So there's Pinterest. A lot of people who are stay-at-home wives and moms, they pin a lot. So it might be that because women like to pin, that you may need to use Pinterest and Instagram. So you need to really, like a lot of these questions, you guys, it seems like you're not fully understanding your audience yet, because a lot of this is dependent on that. You have to know how to market and brand based on those things. Like you cannot just say, I'm building a brand, these are my colors, this one I want to do it, I'm just going to do it, and these people are going to catch on. No, you have to start off strategic. So to tie all this stuff in, you need some type of strategy. You need a launch strategy, sales strategy, marketing strategy, all these different things. You need a plan. Once you have a plan, then go into, okay, I think it'll be great for the colors to be this because of XYZ. Our best platforms will be this because of this. And all of this also has to go in that plan so it can make sense. So I know it might have sounded like I was being kind of cutthroat a little bit, but like I said, I tell you guys all the time that branding is so much more than what it comes out to be, what it seems to be. You guys see the websites launching everything, but you don't see everything behind it, everything it took to get to that point, because some of it is more so for the business owner to make sure it's still connecting with their values, not necessarily just the audience. The audience is to make sure you get the product that you need because it fits your lifestyle. Okay. So straight to the point this week. I tried to make it quick. So I know everybody's trying to get back to their Ivy Park shopping if you can find some. And yeah, that's how launching goes. There's so much more I can do with it. So also comment below if you think I should do like a whole launch type of mini course, because it takes a lot of work. I tell people all the time, please do not come to me if you want to rush through your branding and things like that, because I take my time. Some days I just need to breathe. Some days I cannot do creative work because I need to regroup. It's a lot. So yeah. But thank you guys so much again for the support on the launch this week, for continuing to watch Social Saturdays, for asking questions, for listening. I know this is 13 minutes of your life, but I'm grateful. So other than that, I will talk to y'all next Saturday. Bye.